Mobile apps. Everyone uses them today. Musicians often use social media or perhaps have their own website but their own app. This week we speak to Kevin Brown of GigRev.
This is Anyone Can Play Guitar, the podcast for musicians and music lovers that takes you behind the scenes of the music industry. This week is brought to you in partnership with MGR Music. Ever wanted to learn an instrument, hone your skills, or pick up something completely new? You can get so far by yourself, however professional guidance can make all the difference. With a network of tutors right across the UK and rates starting from as little as £15 per hour, visit mgrmusic.com now to get started. Hello and welcome to a delve into the concept of having a dedicated mobile app for your music. It's episode 49 with me, James, and him,
Ben. Last week we finished off on our mini two-part series on music marketing and promotion that we did, where we heard, James, from loads of great artists, including We Are Scientists, who gave a top tip when agreeing to do an Instagram takeover.
And so we had no phone service for like the whole day of our supposed takeover. And we have not been invited back to Coachella since.
Today though, it's mobile apps. This is a condensed version of a much longer interview with Kevin Brown that will be released in full later in the season. So, briefly, here's his credentials.
Yeah, I started in my 20s actually. I was working for Simply Red up in Manchester at the time of the Spike Island gig for Stone Roses, and got very much involved in that scene.
And then set up, successfully ran, and then sold a tech company.
After that, it was into band management. Managed the Australian Pink Floyd, which at the time were doing theatre type venues, and within a matter of a few years got them up to the O2, 120 gigs a year and touring worldwide.
The Aussie Pink Floyd was a pretty big draw. This is well worth a listen, so let's get going. Remember, a great way to support the show is to go on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and a review. It really does make a massive difference for the show. Now, on with the episode.
We've introduced Kevin, so we'll pick up the point of him describing the challenge he faced. To give some more context on the timescales, this discussion was about 6 months ago.
So we started about 4 years ago, and this took around about 3 years of development work. And I think this is why I think nobody does quite what we do. The tech that we had to build was pretty difficult. And I guess if you went back to 99 and built a website, anything would go. You could build something and just grow as the internet grew. But building an app in a world that you've got Facebooks and YouTubes and Spotify's that have got endless resources to build enormous apps. The starting point's a little bit different to what it was 15 years ago, and we had to basically recreate something that was like Facebook, like Spotify, like YouTube, like Periscope, all into one platform that would serve artists as their kind of mobile home rather than website home. So everything now is obviously mobile. So where a website used to be important to the artist, I think the mobile app replaces that.
That was followed by the challenge with existing social media platforms, which we included in last week's episode. The next thing I wanted to know was what the current mobile app landscape looks like, and how does GigRev fit into it?
Sure, okay. So I think first of all, the biggest part of this equation is GigRev just sits there in the background powering stuff, and it's not about GigRev. The only thing that's important to a fan is the artist. It always has been, always will be. And if you look at a platform like Facebook, it's about Facebook. We've told people or artists have told people and their fans to go to Facebook and like them, but that's Facebook. Instagram, go to our Instagram page, sign up on there. Go to our YouTube page, sign up there. But you buy into the artist, and the only thing you really care about is the artist. You go to those channels in order to connect with them. But I think the important thing is that what we do is we build an app that is an app for that particular artist. So just today we've launched an app for the band Cabbage, and it coincides with a tour that is just going on about now. And this app you can download from the App Store by searching for Cabbage, not GigRev, not Facebook. You're going to look for Cabbage's app. Cabbage are very proud of their app, so they'll tell their fans about it, and they'll promote this on their merch desk, and they'll tell people they have flyers already on the merch desk. So you'll go to the gig, you can buy the T-shirt, you can scan the barcode of the flyer, and suddenly have the Cabbage app on your phone. So GigRev just sits there in the background being the tech. Nobody wants to know about us. What they want to know is about the band.
Yeah.
And we just provide that tech to enable that to happen, as opposed to other social networks that their brand sits in front of your artist brand, and that's just not the right way round. So there's a couple of other companies that do similar stuff to us. There's one in the US called Backstage, or BKSTG, and this is run by, I believe it's Justin Bieber's management, but the app is the Backstage app. You download the Backstage app, and within that app there's there's a series of artists.
Yeah.
But the problem is one artist is going to promote yet another social network, and secondly, why would they promote the Backstage app? Because within that app is their page. It's just a very sort of diluted way to get to an audience, and I think if you do that, you've got to get the fan interested in yet another social network, as opposed to the fan just downloading the band's own app.
Kevin makes the point of how bands typically have their own website, and when the public at large move from using a website to an ever increasingly app-based ecosystem, it makes sense that bands follow that trajectory.
If we look at our podcast, I think we get more people looking at our website on their mobile than at a desktop machine.
I do not doubt that in the slightest. In the full interview, you'll hear Kev describe his early days of running a band fan club back in the early 90s.
Great time.
This helped shape his thinking on what fans wanted. So what do fans get if they download and start using an app built using GigRev? We use the band Cabbage as an example.
Well, going back to that sort of fan club and the importance of a fan, the first thing that happens is you're going to see the Cabbage logo, and you're going to get a login or register button. So you're logging in or you're registering on the Cabbage app. So again, all about them. And that's the important thing. That's the only reason you're going to register. You open the app, and inside you've got something that feels like a hybrid of all kind of social networks, but the key being that every single one of those fans that registers is registered to, and the relationship of that fan is Cabbage's. It's not Facebook's. They own that relationship once again, which they've not been able to do till now. So I think that's the most important thing. That relationship becomes theirs. This is a true direct to fan relationship. So they've got their email address, they've got the name of the person, can communicate to 100% of the fans on the app 100% of the time without having to pay social network fees to do that. So within the app, you've got a wall that you can post to, just like you do on Facebook. Upload video, photos. The artist can do live broadcasts like you can on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, and you can upload videos, photos, tour dates, music, demos, anything that probably, when it comes to the audio music section, you can upload anything that you might not put on other places. So it's not supposed to be an alternative to social networks or streaming networks. It runs alongside and complements it and gives the fan this experience that feels and is truly a direct-to-artist relationship. They can also upload, or the fan can also upload videos from the gig, or photos from the gig, and they can all chat between each other in some sort of meaningful way, rather than, I think, on Instagram, you're reaching everybody, which kind of, I'm not sure if that really works. I think it's an interesting world when I've often thought about this. I'm on Facebook, like we all are, and you post something on Facebook, and when you really think about it, I think we all kind of limit what we put on Facebook, because your mum and dad's on there, your kids might be on there, your colleagues at work might be on there, your boss could be on there. So how do you actually post something to Facebook without offending one of them? I don't want to post a drunk picture of me at a gig and my mum go, "Oh God, you're not drunk again, are you? Are you an alcoholic or something?" So you kind of moderate everything, and I think to have one social network that that potentially like three different parts of your family and or your friend groups can look at, probably doesn't work very well. You don't want your boss, if you're working, you don't want your boss seeing that you was out drinking last night when you call up in the morning and say, "Oh, I've got a food poisoning." So it's a bit weird to put stuff onto one social network. And I think my mates always rib me all the time because I like U2, and if I mention Bono, that's the end of it. It just goes. Oh God, here he goes again. He's talking about Bono. So, but if I'm in a community of other fans that just like U2, then that's cool. That's all right. I can do that without any guilt.
I'd be probably one of the friends telling Kev to shut up about Bono, but it's a valid point he makes about how people may moderate what they post to something like Facebook if they know their boss or parents, etc., might see it.
Exactly.
Kev goes on to give a great example of why a closed forum might be a little bit better for sharing stuff.
So, I mean, my son is 16. He went to his first festival. He went to Latitude, and he was stood watching the Idols, his favourite band at the time, and still is actually. And he gets pulled up on stage by the band and given a guitar. And he's playing the guitar, and his mate's taking a photo. I mean, he rings me at the end of this festival to say, "This is absolutely, I can't believe it. I know what I want to do, Dad." And he posts it on Facebook, and he's really excited about it. And I got up with I forgot the guy's name now. Is it John? I forgot the singer's name. I got up on stage, and then his grandma's liking the. Oh, that's fantastic, Ollie. From his grandma, I'm thinking, and he's embarrassed. So
from a cool thing to just like nosedive and.
Oh, one day you'll be doing that. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Oh, are you still playing piano? Those kind of things. It's kind of like takes it out of context.
Yeah.
But, I think if he goes and tells his mates that, and they're like, "Wow, that's so cool. That's amazing." But you don't want to post everything on every social channel. I think you're right, and I think it. And also he doesn't even want me to like Idols.
Yeah.
It becomes it's not cool then, is it?
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, that's
Coming up after the break, Kev gives us some stats on social media followers and what the numbers mean compared to people who actually come to a gig. You're going to love this, James.
Indeed, I did. This week is brought to you in partnership with MGR Music. Ever wanted to learn an instrument, hone your skills, or pick up something completely new? You can get so far by yourself, however professional guidance can make all the difference. With a network of tutors right across the UK and rates starting from as little as £15 per hour, visit mgrmusic.com now to get started. So, half time of the show, regular good cause slot. Naturally, it's Kevin's choice.
So a good friend of mine, Ben, from a band called Thunder, a few years ago had throat cancer. A really good friend of mine, and so cancer research for me would be something that I really would support. It was a really tough time for him, and I think that's probably something closest to my heart.
Not a problem. It's a common theme, a reoccurring theme, and definitely one that we're more than happy to get behind. So we'll put some links in the show notes for that as well.
I'm luckily fully recovered from that, and he's back on tour. So
brilliant.
To find out more, you can visit throatcancerfoundation.org. Now, on with the episode. Okay, James, get ready for some stats.
Yes.
Actually, it's really interesting if you look at the number of people that follow artists versus the people that go to gigs. I did a bit of research for a talk that I did recently, and I was quite interested to find out what the relationship was between a Facebook follower or Instagram follower or social media follower,
right,
and people that actually go to a gig or buy t-shirts. And none of this data is perfect, but I looked at a few artists that toured last year, and some of the figures were quite interesting. So if you looked at somebody like, I think Guns N' Roses were the highest grossing tour of last year at about $150 million. I think Depeche Mode were in there at about 80 million.
right,
And Drake was in there at 90-something million. But what I found really fascinating is that if you look at Depeche Mode and how many followers they've got compared to the number of people that go to gigs, about 11% of their social followers appear to buy gig tickets.
right.
Versus if you looked at either Drake or Adele, you're getting 0.5% of their social followers are going to gigs. So I'm not sure how good a measurement it is in terms of followers versus people that actually want to go any further. And I think there's a big problem. The older that Facebook gets, and Instagram, the problem becomes what you liked 10 years ago when Facebook started might be not what you like now, but I don't know anybody that's unliked a page ever. So I think if you look at a great example of this is Taylor Swift. She's got about, I think, 76 million people following her on Facebook. The problem is, people liked her 10 years ago. They were probably aged 12, 13, 14. They've grown up now. They might not like her now. So how do you get to a situation where you can sort of cleanse that database and figure out which of those followers are actually fans and who are going to go to those gigs? Because you certainly can't afford to pay for boosting those ads to make sure people actually see what you're promoting. I was talking to an artist the other week that has 5 million people on Facebook. It costs them, if they wanted to post and promote a post on Facebook, it would cost them 60k.
Right.
So they just can't do that. So the problem here is, God knows how much it costs for 76 million people of Taylor Swift if you wanted to boost the post, but it's going to be horrendously high. Now that data should belong to the artist in the first place.
That's a lot of money to potentially waste boosting posts to people who have once upon a time liked your Facebook page but have long since lost interest.
Yeah.
So what about if you only have a smaller online following?
Well, we work with another band called the Pearl Hearts that only have 5,000 people on Facebook. They've just, I think, in the last year or so, toured with Skunk Anansie, Garbage, and Stereophonics, and Kills. So only 5,000 people on Facebook, yet there's 1,200 people on the app. Right. And that generates them £700 a month in income, which they couldn't get from anywhere else. So that's totally and utterly changed their lives.
I can imagine. So, well, that's something that I wanted to sort of touch on with you next is what could an artist realistically expect to get out of building their own app in this way and their own community? What sort of returns and engagement is typical? I appreciate there'll be a range, but
well, actually, an artist the other day, a band called Raven Eye, they launched with us a few months ago. So they're doing sort of academy level venues, that kind of thing. Supported Bush and Kiss and a couple of other bands, and they, along with a Scottish band called Ashton Lane, a country band, have got a similar number of fans on Facebook, sort of approaching that sort of 15,000 people, 15,000 social followers. And I'm trying to think who it was. Somebody the other day just gave me a really interesting stat, and they said, did I realise that 24,000 plays of a song on Spotify was the same as what they were generating from one fan using the app. And really? I thought that was just a really interesting stat. But what we're finding is, this is across the whole network of 23 apps I think we've got now. We're finding that, roughly speaking, about 15% of social followers will download and install the app. So that's kind of, to me, that's separating the followers from the fans. So 15% of your followers are actually true fans. And then we're seeing also that about 1 to 2, maybe a little bit more, 1 to 2 or maybe even 3% of people on Facebook are going into the app and downloading it and also subscribing at $4.99 a month.
Right.
And that's where it gets really interesting, because it doesn't take that many $4.99s a month to generate decent money. And you suddenly got 100 people at $4.99 and there's 500 quid coming in.
You don't therefore need many people to download and pay for the app for it to make a pretty significant difference. A question to ask yourself is, though, what type of content do bands typically put into an app to warrant a $4.99 per month premium?
Well, what we've built is this platform that allows them to do pretty much anything. So you go into the app and I'll give you a good example again. I think I'll use Raven Eye, which are pretty good at what they do, and most of the content's free. So the idea is that it's about fan data collection as much as making money. So you're trying to use your own app to pull people out of social networks, so you can own that relationship.
Right.
So once they're in the app, they're getting a hell of a lot for free. So you can play music, you can look at videos, you can see all the stuff that you're going to see in different places on the internet. Premium stuff tends to be, for them, they do something called van hangs, where they just record stuff from their van when they're on tour, and they quickly edit it and stick that together, and that becomes a premium item. And
right.
The artists can just choose what they want to make premium or what they want to be free. So you can go through an album of maybe demos or a bootleg, live recording, stuff that you wouldn't put anywhere else, stick that into the app and choose maybe a free track, but also another 10 tracks that are part of the premium package. So a bit like Netflix, you're signing up to everything within the app that's premium, which can also include access to tickets prior to on sale. So there's all sorts of things that you can do to give a fan sort of a special experience without necessarily having to generate more content. This is one thing that artists struggle with at first. They're thinking, well, I've got enough to do. I've got to do Facebook, I've got to do Instagram, I've got to do YouTube, I've got to do Twitter. I've got to do all this work anyway. Give me another. Don't give me another social network to update. But what we're saying is just like, you don't need to make more. Just stage it. So make sure that the stuff that you put out, put it into the app first. Don't not use that later elsewhere, but just think a little bit more about how you use it. I mean, how many bands have rushed to put their new video onto Facebook and then got 20 likes and thought, great, that's a $5,000 video shoot gone down the pan and I've got 50 likes for it. So put it into the app and then tell people on Facebook, download the app because our new video's in there.
Yeah.
At least you've got the email address and the person's name rather than a like.
Some obvious ones like behind the scenes footage, but
Sounds
also some good suggestions with their early bird ticket offers.
That will get people interested.
Yeah, I like that.
Another suggestion is around the timing of content.
Yeah, again, I mean, I think what you can do there is you can say, well, okay, it's going to be on YouTube in a month, but now it's just going to be on the app. That's the first place you're going to see it. So thinking about kind of how to stagger the release or window it. I mean, we've got a band that in February, a really big band, February release an album, and it will be windowed in the app. So for 2 weeks, we've got the exclusive within the app. So I always think. So I think was it last year or the year before when Beyonce windowed her album just on Tidal.
Right.
And refused to put it on the other social networks. I think obviously she did that to help her husband, but I think if she could have released her album and windowed it in her own app, then that could have been a really good possibility. I think that would have been really interesting, and I think people are a little bit afraid to window things. I don't quite know why, apart from you've got an industry of digital service providers that make money through total quantity of tracks that they are publishing to these networks. So really, they're making money because of the quantity of tracks they have. CD Baby, I think, is something like, is it about? I forgot how many tracks it is now, but they've got so many millions of tracks on Spotify. Of course they're going to make money, but each individual artist aren't going to make money. So I think we're being kind of taught by the people that are generating a lot of money through signing up a lot of acts. So Cobalt, they've got 6,000-7,000 acts. They make money because they've got a hell of a lot of people paying a tiny bit per track. But for an individual artist, I don't think that's very unlikely to ever work out for them.
Yeah.
So I think it becomes just a very interesting question of whether or not why not to window an album.
Yeah. Why not window your own music in your own app first?
Already mentioned something about this, but what about ticketing then?
I mean, it works for every level of band. So we don't try to sell tickets. We're not another Eventbrite or anything like that. All we do is simply link to the promoters, ticket agents, and every other ticket agent that is selling for that event. I know a few time promoters that I won't name. A gig's gone on sale 5 minutes past 9. Ticketmaster's sold out, yet somebody else has got 2,000 tickets left. And you're thinking, what the hell is going on? And I think a band tends to just have one link on their website or post one link to Facebook, and it can be really frustrating as a manager, or to know that you've got loads of tickets left, yet you've got a load of people saying it's sold out. It's not, and they panic and go and buy from the wrong places.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we list all the ticket agents that you can buy from within the app, and again, as to your point there, we can also work with the artist management and the promoter to get a pre-sale period that's only available within the app, or alternatively, only available within the app to paid fans as well. So subscribers of the app as well as just free. So there's various different ways you can do it, and I think that can also help in a situation where nobody wants a gig that's not sold out, but the last thing you need is a gig that's not sold out that's suddenly going 2 for 1 and it's publicly available. So another way to do this is to keep this sort of as a private offer within the fan app, and offer a 2 for 1 offer within the app without publicising it worldwide, which is what you don't want to do as a manager. It's got to appear sold out, whatever the case, and the last thing you want is 2 for 1 leaking out to the mainstream social platforms. So you can use it not only for sold out gigs and help them sell out and get to the right people first and avoid touts. And you can also help the situation if you're running a little bit lean on a gig and work with the promoter, and because you can push this out to every user of the app, then without cost, the promoter's also got a vested interest in working with you as a manager or as a band to push information to your fan base, which at the moment, the only way that an artist can generally do that is, well, two different ways. Maybe they've got a mailing list, or two, they stick it on Facebook and hope for the best, or they pay Facebook, which doesn't work either.
More good advantages there of having an actual dedicated app.
As we already said at the top of the episode, there's lots more from Kevin in the full interview, and that will be available later in the series. But we'll leave you with this last stat.
I think 80 of the top 100 visited or liked sites on Facebook are artist sites, and so it kind of makes you think, who actually needs who in this equation? Does the artist need Facebook, or does Facebook need the artist?
And to find out more about GigRev,
yeah, well, you can email me at kevin@gigrev.com, or you can even give me a call, 07734 263 907, or just go to gigrev.com.
So I'm pretty sold on this concept of a dedicated band app, Ben.
I think I am too as well.
And I kind of get it, right? You build a website. I think a lot of bands wouldn't think, well, they might think twice because there'd be a bit of a cost, but we're a band or we're a solo artist, we're going to have a website.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But as we've said, people use mobiles today, so why not have an app?
Yeah, why not have an app? Early bird tickets, backstage footage.
Yeah. Here's the music in the dedicated app that only certain people have access to before it goes on iTunes or YouTube or wherever you want to put it.
Exclusive B-sides and live tracks, maybe.
Oh, the list just goes on.
You could probably even see in the future just releasing your album on your app.
Well,
why not?
Additional news snippets from the interviews you've heard today will pop up in other episodes later in the season. And at the end of Season 2, we'll release each conversation with all of our guests in full as standalone episodes. As a reminder, if you like the show, please take a few seconds just to give us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts from. It makes a huge difference in helping us grow our audience and promoting the show.
Coming up next week is the topic of fans, something we spoke about at length in Season 1. Arguably the most important thing for any artist. Without a doubt. Amongst others, you'll hear from Jimmy Adkins of Jimmy Eat World.
And then any listener is going to hear that and pick up on it as being kind of desperate.
All of the show notes for today's episode can be found at acpgmusic.com, along with our back catalogue of episodes. If you like what you hear, or perhaps have some improvements or specific guests you'd like us to consider, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at info@acpgmusic.com or hit us up on social media. Keep supporting upcoming artists, and we'll catch you next time.